Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, on TikTok at Movies TV Mad XXX, and on Instagram at Movies TV Mad 555. So, yesterday something quite big happened, but it's gone under the radar a little bit. Not many people talking about it. So, if you don't know me, I mostly talk about DC live action movies and TV shows, and generally TV and movies, but I'm also a huge Doctor Who fan. So, Piers Wenger, the controller of drama over the BBC, was asked at some kind of convention or meeting about the future of Doctor Who, and this is what he said. There are no concrete plans for Doctor Who in 2023 or the future right now, but there will be fundamental changes to the show. Hold up, Piers. Hold up, mate. You said you've got no concrete plans, but you know for sure that there will be fundamental changes. So, I was thinking, well, we're going to have a female showrunner. That's fundamental to these people. They're politicians, right? But then an interesting thought came to me as I saw many of my fellow Doctor Who fans, tweeting and making videos about this. And I was thinking, some people even predicting they're going to cancel the show. We know that Doctor Who is worth a lot of money to the BBC, and I was thinking, they're going to sell it, aren't they? They're going to sell Doctor Who, or they're going to create some kind of partnership. Now, we know that HBO Max in America has now got exclusive rights to the Doctor Who back catalogue. I think they've definitely got all of the revivals. Someone correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong. Also, do you remember how they sold the most recent series of Torchwood to the American network? And do you remember how angry they were with us, the fans, when we rejected that latest season? And they were so vindictive about us rejecting Torchwood Miracle Day, they actually cancelled the show because of it. That's why they did it, to get us, to get revenge on us. This is the type of people you are dealing with, always working against the consumer. There's only one industry that works against its own consumer, and that is the modern day entertainment industry. So I even have an idea who they're going to sell it to, and I've mentioned HBO Max already, and I think that Warner Brothers could be one, or it could be a partnership between the BBC and Warner Brothers to produce this show, but with Warner Brothers having developing authority. What does that mean? Well, what that means is that they would appoint the showrunner, they would fund the show, and the BBC would just take the profits. It's a bit like what happens with Spider-Man in the MCU. Sony don't really have much to do with the development of those Spider-Man movies, but they can overrule Marvel and Disney, by the way. It was their idea to do Spider-Man No Way Home. Once they saw the green come in for the Spider-Verse animated movie, they thought, yeah. But it'll be a bit like that, where they would have no kind of creative control over the show. And I'd be interested in the comments down below if you think this is a reality, if this could happen. How would you feel about it? Listen, the Doctor Who revival started in such glowing ways. It was amazing. What Russell T Davies did was amazing. He kept Doctor Who as Doctor Who, but he brought it kicking and screaming into the 21st century, and it worked. The Russell T Davies era was unproblematic. It was epic, awesome. It was still Doctor Who. It was still Star Warsy at times. Murray Gold's kind of epic, kind of John Williams type of music was outstanding. The acting, the production values. Look, no one can really say anything apart from nitpick against the RTD era. He created the Doctor Who extended universe, Doctor Who, Torchwood, the Sarah Jane Adventures, and God knows if he stayed what else he would do. But ultimately, he couldn't work with the BBC anymore. I remember him being asked about a Doctor Who movie, and he said never with the BBC. So that's interesting as well. Remember that the BBC did try and do a Doctor Who movie with one of the directors of Harry Potter, and Moffat put a stop to it. Well done, that man. Say what you want about Stephen Moffat and his tenure running Doctor Who, but he's still a very passionate fan. I think he's a more passionate fan than Chibnall and RTD put together, by the way. Now, Stephen Moffat took over, And when I first saw what he was doing, it was so dramatically different. I didn't really like it. It took me to the Snowmen to get into Matt Smith's Doctor. I'm actually more appreciative of the Moffat era now than I was back then. But it's clear to me, look, it's clear to me something's going on, because when you say there's no concrete plans for the next era of Doctor Who, the series after when Chibnall leaves, this is very interesting. In fact, the reasoning behind Chibnall's exit could be because they are planning to sell Doctor Who or do some kind of partnership with a Hollywood company, a Hollywood studio, or a television network. As I say, my money is on HBO Max, but it could be absolutely anyone. And as I say, I'd love to know what you think about this, because I'm very suspicious. I have a lot of knowledge of the entertainment industry. I'm involved in the industry here in Cyprus, and I spent 6 months in Hollywood, 6 unsuccessful months in Hollywood, and I'm still seeing a shrink from my time in Hollywood. But yes, I do have experience on how the industry works. So if you want to ask me any questions, I've already told you my socials, so you can go find me on there, and on the public forum you can ask me anything you want. I do suspect they're going to sell off Doctor Who though, and to me, I'm not angry about this. In fact, I want this to happen. The BBC have had Doctor Who ever since its beginning, but it's clear to me, even like the end portion of Stephen Moffat's era, that we were going down an underwhelming hole, and that's a shame. Now the problem is the kind of lackluster kind of ending to Moffat's era on Doctor Who was that his whole plan always was for Matt Smith, and it totally broke him. It broke his heart that he couldn't continue with Matt Smith. Smith decided to leave. He brought in Capaldi. It's simply, look, Peter Capaldi's a great actor and a great Doctor, but a lot of his episodes near the end as well were very, very underwhelming. And that's a shame. I would say that the Matt Smith era of Doctor Who was more superior than the Peter Capaldi era. That's just my opinion. That's not a stain on Peter. Peter's a great Doctor and a very passionate Doctor Who fan. So I don't want you to think I'm disrespecting Peter there. I love him. He's a great Doctor. I mean, look, Jodie Whittaker just hasn't been given a fair crack at the whip, and she just hasn't been given the creative kind of muscles so we can see if she's a good Doctor. I think some of the stuff Chibnall gave her with the Ark in season 12 was at least interesting, but the highlight of Doctor Who season 12 and the highlight of the Chibnall era is Sacha Dhawan's Master. We all know that. That couldn't be hidden. I don't know why we couldn't just have kind of this guy play the Doctor. Sacha Dhawan's been a great actor for all of his CV, for all of his career. It would have worked. I can in my imagination see Sacha as the Doctor over Jodie being the Doctor, but that's what Chibnall wanted to do. I mean, come off it. You could have your first Indian Doctor. It still ticks the boxes you want to tick if you want to go down that direction. But anyway, so do I think Doctor Who would be in better hands under another broadcaster, under new ownership? Listen, the BBC have not got the ambition to do what's needed to Doctor Who. It wasn't the BBC who created the Doctor Who shared universe. It was Russell T Davies. He was the one who made Doctor Who amazing. And from the moment he left, even though now I appreciate Stephen Moffat's era more than I did back then, you lose that. You lose the extended universe. You lose Doctor Who Confidential, and I think Moffat had something to do with Confidential going as well. So you lose. I mean, Doctor Who, when RTD was running it, yes, it had its issues. Yes, him and the other producers had issues with Christopher Eccleston, and the BBC blacklisted him, which is a big shame. And I don't think that situation is Chris's fault at all. I think he was just trying to create, create a better working environment, because I don't think it was, because everyone was working off the seat of their pants. None of the people working on that show had ever done anything so, apart from Eccleston, of course. He'd been in Hollywood and done some blockbusters like Four in the Dark World, Gone in 50 Seconds, or no, is it Gone in 60 Seconds? So basically Eccleston was more experienced to know how a high budgeted production should work, and they simply didn't know what they were doing. The scheduling, everyone was under the gun, so basically Eccleston had to go, unfortunately. But the Russell T Davies era, in terms of the narrative, as how it looked, it was a beautiful era of Doctor Who. And you know, we don't know where we are now, really. We've got this timeless child situation. Clearly, Chibnall has to close that off somehow. I mean, he can't keep that open. Once he leaves, that has to be closed. And how they close that off, I have no idea. I do have a few theories myself. So yeah, I would be very, very excited if another company, another broadcaster would be in charge of running Doctor Who, because I think it's needed. Then you'd have the situation of maybe an American showrunner. There is actually a very famous American writer, and I forgot his name. Is it John Straczynski? Not John Straczynski, something else Straczynski or something like that. But he's a very iconic writer. He's wrote DC comic stuff before, he's written books, he's running a show right now as well in America, and he said he'd love to do it, he'd be happy to relocate. So that's an interesting situation that's just come about as well. So I'm highly suspicious that the BBC are going to remove themselves from the responsibility of being in charge of developing that show, because when someone says fundamental changes, but we haven't got any concrete plans yet, it's because you're not going to have any plans. You're either cancelling the whole thing or you're selling it off. Either decision is going to be huge for Doctor Who, but Doctor Who hasn't been at the level, hasn't been winning the awards, hasn't been getting the ratings ever since Russell T Davies left. That's a fact. Under Moffat, they won very few awards. Doctor Who was winning awards for fun every fucking year under RTD. We all know what he created. We know it was special. He knows it was special. We know it was special. And Doctor Who hasn't been at that level since. Stephen Moffat had a lot of arguments with fans on Twitter. Then fans started threatening him and his family. It was ridiculous. Then he had to leave Twitter. It became very messy very quickly. And then you got the things with Noel Clarke and John Barrowman. I'm not as proud of the revival of Doctor Who as I used to be. And it's great. I really want to go back and rewatch the whole thing because it's amazing. Even the stuff we've got after Davies is kind of solid. And you know what Moffat did isn't all bad. Let me be clear about Moffat. Moffat is like the Zack Snyder, and if you hate Zack Snyder, you'll say actually that is bad. But I've got a lot of respect for Zack Snyder. But I do think he's the one who did things differently and people couldn't handle it. But I think he did a lot of good things. I think the relationship between River and the Doctor was beautiful. One of the greatest love stories ever told. The way they were meeting out of context, what a fabulous idea. And to introduce it in the RTD era as well was absolute genius. So Moffat was a really, really good showrunner and much better than Chris Chibnall. Let's be clear about that. We are in a different time in entertainment and creativity and art. It is about the political elements. It is about the extreme left pushing their narratives as well. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But at least they can the least they can do is give us a great Doctor, great TARDIS adventures. At least they can do that. So I would be all for Doctor Who being sold off. And I know a lot of you wouldn't, and you'd see it as a betrayal. But I think they've already betrayed Doctor Who, haven't they? You know, the values that Russell T Davies had for the show, keeping it Doctor Who but modernising it as well, it's gone out the window. It's just not working for a broader audience. You know, parents and children are not sitting there watching Jodie's episodes. No matter what the media try and say, and the BBC try and say, it's not happening. The pride of Doctor Who has taken a huge knock. And we need someone ambitious to take over this huge IP and do something special with it. And I think at least an American broadcaster, a company in Hollywood would have that ambition. So, comment down below, like, share and subscribe. Please subscribe if you haven't already, because I always now and again do Doctor Who videos. As we get closer to the new season, I will obviously respond to every single episode. So, I'm still a huge passionate Doctor Who fan, more of the past than the present, unfortunately, but I will keep on watching Doctor Who and reacting to it on my channel. So the future of Doctor Who is up for grabs. Is it going to be cancelled? Is it going to be sold? Or are they just going to bring a female showrunner in? And is that the radical change that Piers Wenger is talking about? I don't know. You don't know. But it's very intriguing to find out. I will see you again in the next video. See you again soon.